Alright, welcome back to another video for SketchUp for Engineers. Today, this is going to be I totally forgot what chapter this is going to be for curve-driven patterns. Chapter 3.5, you can kind of see, just based off right here, kind of a floor plan of what we're going to be doing. Anyway, so each time I want to add a new video that I feel is important, I'll put it in between chapters. So tracing images is going to be between gearbox and screwdriver. So this is chapter 3.5, curve-driven patterns. Now I found this important to put right here because we're going to start talking about curves more and more after this, and lines and segments and arcs. So this one's going to be really interesting. What I've done is I've created this band, okay, and I want to drill holes all along this band in an equal length. Okay. Now when I created this, all I did was I was in front view and I drew this outer shape I used the arc tool, so A, and first I created from the center point a line out this way, and then I created the arc tool, used a half circle to go out here, and then just finished it here, and then selected it. Okay, I selected half of it, like this. Bear in mind, this hadn't been done like this yet. And I grabbed all the outer ones, okay, did a move, copy, and then flipped it until they intersected right here. Then I did an offset from here, and I just brought it down. Oh, how far did I bring it down? About 1/4 of an inch. So, and then I deleted this face once it was offset, and then just used the push-pull tool to pull it out 1/2 an inch. Okay, so how did I get this portion? Well, that's kind of the interesting part, and this is when I experimented with this, it took me 3 or 4 days to get this process right. Only because the extension wasn't really built for what I want to do. But if we go to this side, notice how if we click, we can see all of these individual lines. Now, if you remember when I installed this JHS power bar back in chapter 1, I talked about lines and using super weld to weld them together. That's what we're going to do. Now I want to show you something very interesting. Notice how I click on this and it says segments 48. That's because I typed in 36 or 48 with the arc tool for sides. But then when I created this one, for some reason it dropped it to 12. And this one dropped it to 9. But look at the mirror copy of this one. Went to 10. So even the copy and move, something went haywire. So keep that in mind. There's really no way to prevent that. Maybe if I were to scale this up by 100 or 1,000 and then do all my dirty work, and then at the end divide it by either 0.001 or 0.01 or 0.001 to get back to our original size, or scale it a different way. If you know, using the tape measure tool, we know this distance from here, I know is 1/2 an inch. I could type that in, hit enter, and it will say, do you want to resize the entire model? And then I'd hit yes. So, more than one way to get to Walmart, I guess. Anyway, so what I did was I went ahead and I welded this entire front line together. Now, I know this is 1/2 an inch wide, so my midpoint is 1/4 inch. Now, you could put a little guide right here, 1/4 inch in off the blue axis, so that when we move this one, rotate it and move it to the center, it'll snap. Or you can do what I do and let's turn on X-ray view. Okay. And I know that from this point, this intersection point, all the way to here is 3 inches. Because all I did was a copy move of this face, and I moved it 3 inches to the left in respective of this view. I just moved it 3 inches to this direction. Now, then at that point, all I did was rotate it at that intersection point, and remember to make sure you have this guide along here. And if you don't remember how to do that, hit T, grab it and drag it along the line so that it creates that guide. And all I did was rotate, I hover over that intersection, rotated along the red 90 degrees until it laid flat. Okay, perfect. Now, let me unhide this. Then all I did was I made a component of this cylinder and I moved it to the center. This is just best guess center of my component. However, I know the length of that component, and I just did half of that, and I just typed in the distance as I moved it along the green axis, I should say. So if I went from here to here, I know it's 2164, so I just calculated midpoint of that, and then when I was moving, as you move it along here, I snapped this the midpoint of this to this intersection spot, okay, and then I just moved it forward and then typed in the number I wanted to put it in the middle. Okay, this is all fine and dandy, but what are we trying to do? We're trying to copy this all the way around. So in the JHS power bar, there's this one, copy along path, and then there's copy component along path. The blue one is not doing what I want it to do, even though it's a really cool feature, such as, I highlight my curve and then I click this and it'll tell me which component do you want to copy, and I hit component number 2 and I type in a spacing of 1, and do I want to center it? Yes, and I hit OK. Alright, you look at it and it looks a little strange. Like, look at this one. This one did not do anything in what I wanted. I want the part to be normal to the curve. That is definitely not normal. That is really strange. So I've even tried it by doing center no and then hitting OK, and it just puts them along one of the faces, but still not normal to the curve. So I don't know, there's got to be something going on. Maybe something with the axes. Like, for example, if we double click into this, currently see where my axes are set. By default, okay, if you go to tools, axes. Now remember, I'm inside the component. Okay. Now if I come out to here to the actual intersection and click once and click again and then hit yes. Okay. If I double click in here, notice my axes are right here. Okay. I have a feeling that this blue component along path, it has something to do with the axis placement, because now let's try this. Okay, so still a little strange. Let's put yes for center. It's going to look the exact same, but there has to be something going on that's not allowing it to go to normal that I can change. But the beauty of it is, if you triple click one of them, just like regular components, you start moving them around and editing, now you got a whole whacked out situation. So okay, alright, really not what we wanted to do. Alright, so this one right here, copy along path. Let's try this one out. You're going to click it. Down here it's going to say select path. Sometimes instructions on your extensions are down here in this bar, so remember always to look at this bar. Click it. Then it's going to say select group or component to copy. Okay, you click it once, and then it's going to say distance between. I'm going to type in 1 inch. Okay, now that's better. Now take a peek at this, right on the line and on these faces, and look, they're normal to it. If we look this way, it is perpendicular to this line right here at this spot. So we're getting closer. Problem is, let's see, if we double click one of them inside, there we go. See, we can still edit them, and if I wanted, I don't know, I've never done this, but let's hit the move tool and let's just move things like so. Okay, so now they're moved just a little bit. Okay, not too bad. Is there a different way to do this so we don't have to move that one? There is. Now what's the beauty of, let me hide that one. What's the beauty of this? Well, let's turn on X-ray mode. Actually, you know what? Let's discuss that part later. Okay. So, we're doing pretty good, but not quite there yet. So I'm going to go back. Okay. Perfect. Now I'm going to click, triple click, and we're going to move our axes. So I want to go to Tool, Axes. I want it right in the center, because if you notice, the last time those faces were what was lined up with this curve. Wherever the axes are, it's going to place the axes along this curve. So we need to change where that axis is. So click on X-ray, zoom in, go to your intersection, click once. If you move it, see that it's telling you where your axes are, but we want it to be in the default position. Just blue is up, but always make sure blue is facing up. At least for this function in this plugin. Click it again. Then click outside the box and then hit yes. All you're saying is, would you like to update the component axis to match your modified sketch axis? Yes, this will change all axes for other instances of this component. Okay. Notice your axes for your entire model space is still here, but if you double click this, your axes are now different for this one. Okay. So, turn off X-ray. Let's do this again. Red. Select the path. Select this. Type in 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and hide this extra one we don't need. And look at that. That is exactly what we are looking for. Now what can we do? I'm glad you asked. Just sometimes you have to hit spacebar. If your mouse is, your cursor is in white, that means you need to hit spacebar to get back to the select here. So you're going to go like this. Okay. You're going to go to your rotate tool. Turn on X-ray again. Wait, do we even need X-ray? No, we don't. Go here, hit the right arrow, be along in the red, and then type in 90 to rotate. Don't unselect everything yet. Okay, go back to here, hit the move tool, hover over intersection, move it along green, just a little bit, and then type in 3.25. Hit enter. Control Shift E. Okay, it has now put everything where it needs to be. Now if those were just a little bit longer, in fact, if you wanted, you could go into X-ray. Wait, let's make this an actual component. Okay, because we need components, we need solids. Is an actual solid? It is. Yay. And these are solids. Okay, so we could go into X-ray view, double click one of them, use the push-pull tool to extend the face out just enough, so that when we use our solid tools, it's probably going to air out because of how small it is, but let's give it a shot. Let's do a subtract. Where's subtract? Is it big from small? Backwards. So we need to go small from big. And look at that, we have a hole. So you can continue to do that, or you could explode each one of these components and then everything would be selected, and then regroup them in one big giant component. So what I mean by that is, if I click all of these, I'll just do it with these three, hit right click, go to explode, right click, make component, call it component number 4, whatever. Okay, so now what we can do is subtract big from that one. I did it backwards again. Small from big. There we go. Okay, and look, we have holes in our band. Is that not cool? Or what? So, I'm glad I spent the time to figure this out, and I'm glad I get to show you how this works. So most things in SketchUp are possible. So, I am going to control back all the way to here, because sometimes I like to use this as a demo. Anyway, good luck. Continue practicing SketchUp. It's just going to get better from here. We're going to do more complicated parts. And yeah, it's really cool. Oh. One extension I should have mentioned in the other video, but I didn't, is one called Woodwork. So let me hurry and find it for you real quick. Okay, if you're going to be doing a lot of holes and woodworking as a hobby, go to Woodworks, right here, it's a Google site, and go to plugins and tools. Now, I think it's called Drill. Okay, this thing is amazing. It basically is a hole wizard. It's $18, and let's take a peek. So, you tell it hole diameter, hole depth, hole type, countersunk, the angle, the bore diameter, and everything, and you just click it, and then it will, you can do equal spacing, you can do how many holes you want, and you just click, and it just creates all the holes. You can do a full array and a pattern of it over and over and over again. It's amazing. It's worth the $18. So another extension is this Dovetails. I mean, remember, you're engineers, you know how expensive some of the other software is out there. And yes, they have hole wizards, they have other wizards, and $10,000 a year for a license, to get a hole wizard, but $18 for lifetime. So it all depends on what you want to do. But if you're a woodworker, these are totally worth it. And then the last one I want to talk about, go to Window, you can go to Extension Warehouse, okay, and look up one called Cut List. It's free, and it will basically create a cut list for all your wood projects. And you can watch some YouTube videos on it. It's really cool. So anyway, thank you for watching. This is a good 20-minute video, but it's well worth the 20 minutes. We got a lot of information covered in this one. So thank you for watching, and can't wait to see you in the next video.